For those online, Deb Allen has just joined us, which gives us quorum. And
Sorry to
Karen
keep
has
you
told us
waiting.
that our technical issues have been resolved. Her computer is rebooted. So I believe serendipitously, we are ready to begin. Good morning, Deb. Let's call this to order at, I don't know what that is, 9:12 on Friday, November 20th, Human Services Committee. Karen, if you could call the roll.
Surges?
Yes.
Leonard?
Leonard here.
Allen?
Allen, present.
Guerrero?
Guerrero here.
Davist? Hoshait? Lewis? You have a quorum.
We have a quorum, and I do apologize. I did not send out an email on this meeting date, and I know this was a change date from our schedule. So for those of us who do reminders on your calendar, like, you know, it's the third Wednesday of every month for the next year, this is out of sequence, and I should have sent an email out and didn't. So that's my error for those board members that may not have been able to make it. Bill, could you motion for approval of minutes from the October 14th meeting?
I move so.
And Therese, could you second?
Yes, I move so.
Okay. Any thoughts on those, any thoughts or conversations on that? Karen, if you could call the roll.
Allen?
Aye. Allen, aye.
Guerrero?
Guerrero, yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Surges?
Burgess, yes.
They're approved.
I don't see anybody in the audience for public comments. Blair, do you have anyone online? Okay, moving right along. Do we have anybody for monthly financial reports? Are those just online? Okay. Jake, Veterans Assistance Commission.
Good morning to the committee. For the month of September, we're reporting on today. Our claims are taking about 5 days longer than the average Illinois veterans claim. That was concerning to us. I had a 2-month trend there where we were averaging longer than the average Illinois veterans. I'm happy to report that our October numbers have improved that, and we're back down below that for the month of October. For pension claims, the average Illinois veterans waiting 88.5 days. Our veterans are waiting 55.9, so we have a really good lead on the VA there. 10,846 claims pending for veterans in the state of Illinois, with 139 of those belonging to our office right now. In the month of September, we completed 22 applications for disability compensation, 1 application for a non-service related pension, 4 applications for dependency indemnity compensation, 2 survivor or widows pensions, 6 applications for VA healthcare, and 4 appeals. 172 forms completed total. Our claimants received $320,000, almost $321,000 in new benefits, bringing our fiscal year to date total to over $3.5 million in new benefits payable directly to veterans going forward. And we had no financial assistance expenditures. That's my usual report, but I'll also note that the state of Illinois operates 4 veterans nursing homes. There's actually about to be a 5th one that opens in Chicago, probably in February. We commonly refer veterans and their families to the Veterans Home in Lasalle and Manteno. And just want to make the committee aware that the Veterans Home in Lasalle has a very large coronavirus outbreak that started on November the 1st that has infected 98 of the 121 veterans that live there. It's killed 23 of them, and 93 of the over 200 employees have also tested positive. So we're keeping those folks in our thoughts and prayers. That concludes my report today, but I'd be happy to take any questions that the committee might have.
Jake, which facility was that?
That's the LaSalle Veterans Home. It's operated by the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs. It's sort of a joint venture between the state and the federal government, but it's managed by the state of Illinois.
And the other home that was just opening, I thought I saw a news documentary on WGN. Is that the one that's been a couple of years in the making and is finally getting open, or am I mistaken on that?
No, you're absolutely right. It's probably a decade or more in the making. There's been funding issues and political issues that have happened going back to, I think, even before the Rauner administration. And there were some setbacks, but the date kept getting set back, but they did some sort of a ribbon cutting on Veterans Day this year. And at the ribbon cutting, they said they expect to start taking patients in February.
It's a great looking facility. Thanks
It
for
is.
following up on that. Bill, did you have a question? Did I step on you? Sorry.
No, no question. Thank you.
Any other questions for Jake? Jake, thank you so much. We appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Sylvia, Human Resources.
Good morning, everyone. Our Blue Cross Blue.
So Mike.
Oh, it is. Good morning, everyone. Our Blue Cross Blue Shield invoice, as you can see, is the statement for claims paid through 10/31/2020, and it is $1,127,147. And again, we tend to continue to trend in a good fashion. As you know, we're in the middle of open enrollment still for Smart Ben. It has been challenging, but yet extremely successful. It has taken a lot of due diligence on the HR team because, as you know, it's a new platform and people are not familiar with it. But we put a lot of proactive approaches and staff to support all of our employees. And I am pleased to say that we only have 55 people in process. That means they haven't touched it, but we know who they are. So we reach out to them and we reach out to their supervisor and payroll coordinator because we want to make sure that we're at 100%. And the retirees as well. Some of the complexities that I just want to share is that, again, if you're on MERP, you also have to let us know if you're going to continue with MERP. But then if you're electing to do MERP and not to go on our insurance, we have to monitor that as well. So I'm just giving you a kind of soundbite of all the different moving pieces, but we are so pleased at the way it is coming out. So thank you to my team for being so helpful. Thank you to IT. And it looks like we're going to be successful.
So the MERP on for anybody that's following along with online with the slides, MERP, it says 55 people, and of the 1,300 staff, we have 55 that aren't on the Smart Ben system. Is that just a coincidental?
No, that's just a coincidental.
Okay,
They're
that's not a cause.
totally
Got it.
different.
So, thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Any questions on Smart Ben right now that anyone might have in their thoughts before I move forward? Yes.
Deb, I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm one of the people who absolutely got frozen out of the system. I mean, I froze myself out of the system. I hit some things that were wrong and I couldn't get back in. And I just want to say thank you to the staff for saving me and getting me enrolled. And I guess my question would be, is there an opportunity before next year to practice or?
This was our practice. And we continue to help people with and asking Alight to give us the support mechanisms. And one of them is making sure that their 1-800 number is available to help all of our employees should they get speed bumps in being able to maneuver through the system. So I have spoken with Alight and asked them to make sure that they have a memorandum to their support staff to make sure they're supporting our employees when they call in and helping them, you know, go through this entire process. As you know, I put my staff behind it as well because it's such a new thing that I didn't know where I could trust the support. So yes.
Well, thanks for the help. I appreciate it.
You are most welcome.
Deb, if I could comment that the complexity and the lift that it took to get this thing online is almost dwarfed by the efforts that the staff has made to make this look easy and seamless to our clients, in this case, 1,300 employees and their families. And the reports of, if you want to use the word disruption or consternation, have been so incredibly minimal because of the proactive nature and the approach that we've taken. And that's not to imply at all that this has been without its hiccups, and that we know that we can do, better on certain things on the next go around of this next year. But gosh darn, for the first rollout of this, I mean, this staff has been incredible, and Sylvia's really done a great job along with, and that's just the implementation when they said it's ready. That's not to mention everything it took to get it to where you could turn the key and start the engine.
Sure.
So,
I'm pretty sure the hiccups are all on me.
no, it's,
No,
no.
No. I went out of order and I absolutely did it wrong, so.
We're going to get it by next year. This will be something special. So,
okay, thank you. And for the job applications, you can see that there's been 131 job applications. So we've been really busy with that as well. It's been so busy in our department because if you move into the next report, which is the new hire report, and don't be alarmed at the number, the actual new hires to the county was 21. Yes, you see a large number, but that was election workers. As you know, we had an election, but the paperwork involved with this volume of new hires to bring them in, to do the paperwork, to get them out when the election is done, it is insurmountable. But again, it is all good. And I just want you to know that there was 21 actual new hires for long-term. So do you have any questions on that?
Blair is scrolling through the list of election workers.
I know.
There's like 3-4 pages of it.
And again, I have to give kudos to my team because they'll have a stack of action forms, personnel action forms for all of these, for bringing them in. And then they'll have another one for them leaving. And all of this has to be processed, and they're great. They do it with a smile, and I don't know what I would do without them. They're fantastic. So the termination report, as you can see, we have 15 total terminations. And then we're going to move into our annual housekeeping report, which is the ethics report from Grant Wagner. And as you can see on page 29, there was 0 violations to be found. So I thought we would just get to the nitty-gritty. Yes, he's great at looking into all of these, but as you can see, he found that there was 0 violations. Any questions? Okay, moving on. If we can move on to our workman's comp. We continue to trend again in a positive fashion. You can see on page 30, the last 3 policy periods. And then if we move on to the location where most of the incidents occurred, it's JJC and the Sheriff's Department. And we continue to have our monthly calls and review all the impacts. I do want to say, without going into detail, that there will be a settlement coming up that Muriel and CCMSI and HR is looking at. It is an old claim, and it does need to be settled out without going into detail. And you will see a pretty big dollar amount there. Just giving you the foresight for that. It is inevitable. It
You know
is
how old that was?
about 4 years.
4 years back. Okay.
But as you know, I can't discuss it, but we certainly can go into executive session if you felt that necessary. Okay. But I do want everybody to be aware of it. And you can see the top 5 locations where the losses were reported and the total incurred on page 32. Again, the sheriff is where you see most of the things occurring, as well as court services. Their jobs are hands-on. And, you know, there isn't anything out of here that is out of norm. As well as the Division of Transportation. If you go on to the next one, you can see the executive report for the last 4 years and the current year, and we continue to trend in the right direction.
Again, if I could comment on this, we've said this multiple times, but, you know, we often, you know, the old saying, you have to spend money to make money. In this particular case, we pushed CCMSI to bring on an additional adjuster for our account. And I realize that comes with a cost, but I believe in my heart of hearts that the numbers bear that savings that we've seen by the extra attention to detail well outweighs the cost of that individual that was brought on. So
I won't go through all the graphs. They're there for you. And if you have any questions, you know, please let us know. What I can summarize again is that we continue to work very diligently on this. And Jamie Labrello, who is on our team, and she comes actually from having been in the state's attorney's office. And I am so impressed at her capacity to understand this subject matter that I actually see us being able to be much more impactful than what you are recognizing right now. So I look forward to that. Any questions on workman's comp? So human services for group alternatives. This is the same presentation that Michael Baker provided at county board. I included it, but there's nothing different. Our reserves is, as you can see, $912,468. We continue to trend in the right direction there. Our annual medical cost per employee, again, you can see that we are impacting that in a positive fashion. And these are the kinds of things that you want to see occurring in your organization, regardless of your business. Whether we're government, whether we're private, these are the kind of impacts that you want to be assuring. And I think that you can see evidently in front of you that this too is moving in a positive direction. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
We can continue to pat ourselves on the back on this, but I mean, let's be honest here. When I came onto the scene a couple years ago and began looking at this and the volume of data and information that Mike Baker's team brought to the plate, I got to be honest with you, a little bit of hocus pocus, a little bit of mumbo jumbo, a little bit of, are you kidding me? I mean, how does this impact anything? Fast forward 18 months, gotcha. Here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do. Begin seeing results. And I believe that the numbers speak for themselves. While the goal remains $9 million in reserves, and we aren't anywhere close to that yet, we have made fabulous inroads. And okay, Cliff, define the word fabulous. $3.1 million in savings since leaving IPBC. 3.1 million with better coverages. And you know, a large chunk of this, you know, we were expecting our IPBC refund, kickback, rebate, whatever, unused portion of premiums to be
650.
400, 600, 650. 1,396,320, $1.4 million on top of the savings. Rich is sitting back there with his thumbs up going, way to go. And I've said this before in committee a million times. This isn't the sexy stuff. But gosh darn it, $3.1 million is sexy. I don't care what anybody says. That's real money. And and I know that Bill Leonard laid the foundation for some of this, and Sylvia's well-versed, and Mike Baker's a rock star. Pulling this all together, what a fabulous team. And I just, it worked. We took a risk. We asked the board for their trust and confidence. They gave it to us. Oh, should we pull from IPBC or not? That's not a slam on IPBC in any way. It was an educated guess on our part. We took the gamble. It has paid off. It was the right thing to do at the right time. Not that it wouldn't have worked 5 years ago or 5 years from now, but at the snapshot in time that we made the decision, it has worked out well. And I can't be happier with the team. I can't be prouder of the results. I am absolutely thrilled on this. And Mike Baker, if you are listening in at all, to your entire team, because Mike's just, a very handsome figurehead. It's the team that does the work and the heavy lifting. So, to his entire team, I can't say thank you enough. Rich, that goes for you too, buddy. Don't even. Thank you, Sil.
Thank you. Moving on to compliance, our sexual harassment training compliance is open until 12/1. And as I've shared, our good faith effort is what we need to prove to be in compliance as an organization. And I can assure you with these numbers, we have exceeded, if we were in an audit, our good faith effort for this required compliance for the state of Illinois. The other component is that it will get launched again January for the next year, because you have to do it every year. So it's just going to be like a merry-go-round.
Sylvia, I'm happy to report that I am in compliance with this at this
Thank
point
you,
in
sir.
time. And
Thank you, sir. And if we move on to, do you want to do number 8 for old business for?
yes, but I'm interested. I would entertain a motion to table item 8A, the telecommute policy, for 60 days.
Leonard moves to table.
Deb or Therese, can I get a second there?
Sure, I'll second.
Deb seconds?
Yeah.
All right, any discussion on this? There's no discussion for tabled items? Great. Karen, you want to call a vote on that? Sure.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Guerrero,
Guerrero, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Surges.
Surges, yes.
Okay, awesome.
Motion passes. I didn't know there wasn't discussion on tabled items. That's interesting. Thank you, kind sir. I did not know that. Under new business, looking for a motion ratifying the county board's authorization of wage increases for fiscal year 2021 for the department head under jurisdiction of the Human Services Committee.
Alan
So-
moves.
Alan moves.
Guerrero seconds.
Guerrero seconds. Any discussion on this? I believe this is just a housekeeping item. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Karen, please call the.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Guerrero,
Guerrero, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Surges.
Burgess, yes. Motion passes. I get a motion for the resolution approving the 2021 retiree monthly health and dental contribution.
Leonard moves.
Alan seconds.
Alan seconds. Any conversation here? Karen, call the vote.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Guerrero,
Guerrero, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Surges.
Burgess, yes. And a final motion here, I believe, authorizing a contract with Flex Benefits Services Corporation to administer the flex spending accounts.
Alan moves.
Alan moves.
Leonard seconds.
Leonard second. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Barrero, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Burgess.
Sturgis, yes. I'm sorry, I labeled that as the final one, and there are actually two more. Resolution approving payment of the commercial insurance for fiscal year 2021, including auto, property, general liability, law enforcement, employment practices, public official liability, excess liability, cyber liability, crime, workers' compensation, and a service agreement with Presidio Insurance and related fiscal year 2021 budget adjustments.
Leonard moves.
Allen seconds.
Any discussion here?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment if I could.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I reviewed the insurance renewal and I was very pleased to see that our insurance premium went up just a very small amount, actually about $84,000, which equates to less than a 3% or 4% increase, which is great in today's industry. The other thing I wanted to mention was Wine Surge, our broker, charges a $36,000 a year fee. The industry standard on this size of premium would normally be about 3 to 5%. So I think it's safe to say that Rich Ryan and his team are charging us about 1/3 of the industry standard and doing an excellent job. So I wanted to thank them very much.
Thank you, Bill. Rich is actually here today. And Rich, would you just give us a quick, 2-minute recap, if I can ask you to come up to the podium, and just let us know how we did year over year?
Up to you.
And I believe, Rich, the comment, having you speak would be inappropriate without saying that last year we found ourselves in a situation where 47 out of 50 vendors, carriers declined to even offer us coverage. That I know it takes a lot of work month in, month out to corral 24 board members and a chairman to continue to do, what's right by the county. And I know everybody wants immediate gratification, but in this industry, as some of us know, we look at 3-year, 5-year, 10-year loss time horizons. And so I'm just curious, of the 47 out of 50 last year, did we get more participants this year? And just to see this without, while it wasn't a decrease, to see this without an increase is absolutely a win. Although it might be tough for some people to understand that. So
right. So to answer your question, I checked. There's a market industry update that comes out every quarter, and because we were working through the second quarter really and into getting the information, I wanted to make sure we were within line. So at a 4.1% increase overall from last year, based on what we were looking at with 13 million in losses. Plus, we also don't want to lose sight of we had some property issues for 2 years ago during the winter storms, about $500,000 in losses there too. And we've had the same. The other thing is the county's been very good about listening to advice that we've given over the years about the longevity of trying to stay with a carrier that we've been with for a while, especially A+ carriers. And Chubb has stuck with us and done a good job. So on the property side, on the casualty side, to answer your question, out of the number of markets we went to because of the liability situation we were in, we were able to do a little restructure and save some money, because when the initial numbers came in, they were a little higher than what I wanted them to be, obviously. But just to give you a quick idea on that, on the excess liability, we got up to 25 million. The market right now is running between 10 and 50% increases on excess liability, and it's a nationwide problem. It's not a county issue. We are pretty much flat between last year. So we took the hit last year, but that was because of our loss situation. So you're right. Over a 10-year period, they are going to continue looking at that snapshot, but we're getting further away from that problem. So we're going to continue to stay on top of these carriers that looked at it before. And I think as we go along, it'll continue to get better. A couple of things came up earlier in some of the things that Sylvia brought up. The employment practices training that you do, that's part of this coverage too. That also helps minimize the cost. The workers' comp work that you're doing in Illinois, we have a problem just statewide with insurance carriers not wanting to do business here because of we're so pro-employee, which is good, and it's good in one sense and bad in another from a working environment. So we've been able to keep that with your trend going down. That's helping the excess costs, because essentially the county's buying umbrella or like an umbrella policy over your workers' comp for statutory coverage. So that large claim that you've got coming up that you said is going to hit, you've already probably taken that hit in the from the standpoint of what you've paid out in your self-insurance dollars. So the rest will go to the carrier, and they know that. So that's been taken into consideration in this renewal too.
Super.
So that's really all I had to report
Rich,
on.
it would be, for anybody that's paying attention to the numbers, from when we authorized the purchase last year, there was there was substantial maneuvering after the purchase to raise some of the coverages, which I believe was the cyber liability
Yes.
and the umbrella coverage. So if you're looking year over year at a snapshot from what was approved last year, we look like we've taken a slightly larger jump, but we did add a couple of things that crept that price up.
Yeah.
But was appropriate to add at that minute in time. And then my second comment is, I have clients, and I'm sure Bill does too, that say, but we didn't have a fire here, and we didn't have a tsunami here, and we didn't have, and how did the riots? Well, reinsurance is a funny thing, because while all that happened in California or Florida or a coastal environment, the reinsurance carriers have to factor that in nationally and globally into the cost. So while it may not have happened in Illinois, it did happen, and the tide rose, and we all have to, the theory of insurance is, the law of numbers, everybody has to pay into that a little bit to help everybody else out. And to stay at the 4%, given what has happened nationally, at the rate that you do this for, Rich, we cannot say thank you enough. And we truly, I didn't even know
Thank you.
Rich 2 years ago.
Huh.
And I'm telling you now, I admire what this guy does for us each and every
Well,
day.
thank you. We appreciate the long-term relationship. That's really where we come from on that basis. To dovetail what you just said, the market update that I'm working from, if you're looking at the catastrophe losses that happen because of those riots and things, what's happening right now is, and the marketplace is looking at a 20 to 40% increase there because of all losses, hurricanes included.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
You're
everything
welcome.
you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So with that said, could we call the vote?
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Barrero,
Barrero, yes.
Leonard, Surges,
Surges, yes.
Mr. Leonard,
I think he fell off.
Bill, it's the button on the bottom left.
Thank
that
you.
says unmute. All right, we need a motion. Motion passes. Motion reauthorizing the moratorium on personnel hiring and replacement.
Alan moves.
Alan moves.
Barrero seconds.
Barrero seconds. Sylvia, can you just give us just a
Yes.
30-second?
Absolutely. So Joe Onzik and I were going over this, and what we wanted to maybe clean up was the ability for a vacancy, once it was approved, to remain in effect for 1 year after that approval by the county board, because this allows the position to be refilled by the directors and the leaders. And then we don't have to continually be doing this housekeeping if it doesn't change the budget and they just need to fill the gap. The one thing that I also want to share is that this moratorium does not apply to elected officials' offices. And that's something that I'm not sure that the board is aware of. And it really, because they can do what they need to do, and we cannot impact that. I had that discussion with the state's attorney several years ago when I saw this resolution. And so I think the board needs to keep that in mind.
So just the question that comes immediately to mind is, this is not something that's new.
No,
This is something the board has been doing,
correct.
and we're just re-upping it for this cycle.
Yes, and just cleaning it up a little bit so that we don't constantly have that revolving door of having to bring a resolution for a director to fill a position that doesn't change the budget, was already approved because somebody left or somebody got terminated. We want to make sure that if we're giving people the authority to make decisions, they have the authority to make those decisions and fill those positions. So this was just something Joe and I wanted to make sure was on the agenda today.
Does anyone on the committee have any questions on this? Anyone not on the committee have any questions on this? Deb, I'm sorry.
We've had the policy that if somebody resigned or quit, or was terminated, that that department head would come in and say, I had somebody leave and I want to replace them.
Right.
Are we saying that we just won't make people do that drill?
We won't make them do that if that position was approved
Already
within a
budgeted.
1-year period.
Okay, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. The electeds seem to try and add to their crew at budget time. If they want to add more positions, they generally need more money since they don't want to move anything else in their budget around. So that's the only handle that we have there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Karen, can you call the roll on that?
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Ferrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
passes.
Okay. I have a motion to place reports on file.
Alan moves.
Leonard seconds.
Alan moves, Leonard second. Any discussion? Karen, roll call?
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Ferrero. Ferrero, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Surges.
Burgess, yes. I don't see any reason to go to executive session. Was there anybody that wanted to hear from Sylvia on that claim? We can go into, if not, I don't think we need to go into it, but. Okay. All right, if I can just say a word or two before we leave, this is, potentially my last committee chair as Human Resources. In the 2 years I've been here so far, it's really easy to make things happen when you are just surrounded by fabulous people. I mean, it's from Rich and the CCMSI group to Mike Baker and Sylvia's staff. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, Blair and Roger and Mark, who, honestly, I've yet to bring them a situation that they couldn't help find a technology answer to. Just to highlight a couple of things, and these are not in any sequence. We've had our challenges. At the committee level, we tried to tackle an ordinance update that grew its own legs and went out of control and got really messy. And I don't know that I would chalk that up into the success column. We had a situation where we were trying to, identify carriers, insurance carriers that would actually take us after a couple of years of unfortunate claims. Those are some bad things. On the positive side, we have truly helped the board understand the significance of certain actions as they relate to the consequences with that insurance. And I think that's been Rich's guidance and our ability to communicate and facilitate that. And Rich, you don't have to do that and take those extra steps, yet you do, and they're so appreciated. $3.1 million of savings, away from the cooperative. I can't stress enough. And people go, well, what did you do to cut that? And we didn't cut anything. There's actually, the coverages are better. The coverages are better. We have retirees that have things they never dreamed of before. and we saved 3.1 million. And with that, with all of those changes, we had minimal disruption, at least, and I get it, I'm a committee chair. By the time it percolates to me, it better be really bad. I'm telling you, less than a handful, less than 5 made it to me. And when I speak back with everybody and through the other department heads, this went smoothly. And that is 110% Sylvia's team under Sylvia's leadership making that happen. Taking the stance to ask for an additional claims adjuster to help with the work comp was a gamble. That could have blown up in our face and proven it was the right thing to do at the right time. And I think the numbers are speaking for themselves. And I don't want to discount this. Ron Hain has been nothing short of wonderful as a leader at the Sheriff's Department, because he didn't have to embrace the changes that we asked of Ron. He could have said no, and instead, refreshingly, embraced everything, listened to what the professionals were telling, and the results speak for themselves. And then we culminated with the benefits administration system. And let me tell you, there, you know, we try and make things look easy, but what happens behind the scenes, I mean, we were stepping on toes left and right, and you were asking square pegs and round holes, and teams of people that don't work together, and reassigning leadership on assignments, and trying to make things go while working with outside vendors that left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, and we can't do that. Well, you have to do it, and blah, blah, blah. And the bottom line is we got it done. And it wasn't without bruised egos. It wasn't without sore toes, but we got it done. And the comment that came back to me a week ago, I was speaking with Audrey, and she goes, "What are you so giddy about?" I said, because somebody that's just in the trenches made the comment, we buy into it. We didn't like it at first, but we see what you're doing with it, and we're seeing where it can go. And thank you for pushing it. And to me, I didn't expect that, and it was nothing short of wonderful. And again, being a numbers guy, to hear that we have 50 people out of 1,300 that are yet to be signed up in an open enrollment period that did this on the new benefit system, that is absolutely off the chart, remarkable success. And again, this isn't sexy stuff. Gosh darn it, that is a win of epic proportions. That Rich is shaking his head. You don't understand. This is huge. And this wasn't by accident. Sylvia actually has, you know, a gaming console with joysticks up there. And somebody is on the phone making those calls saying, "Hey, did you get this done? Did you get this done? Did you get this done?" And for an executive director to have that commitment to our employees out there, I cannot say enough, Sylvia, for what you and your team have done. And more importantly, for doing it when I know you necessarily didn't like it, and you still did it with the smile on your face. And that wasn't without phone calls saying, you know, "You son of a gun, can you just back off a little bit? Can you pump the brakes?" And I get it. But at this side of the coin, it's been wonderful. It would be my desire to stay on as chairman of this committee. That is not my call. And I just want to say thank you. I think we've accomplished a great deal. And as I was the benefactor of Bill Leonard's tutelage, I would be happy to help out whoever serves in this chair going forward. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody.
I just want to toss in that you're a newbie and got this tremendous responsibility because you had some background. But I think you really rose to this occasion. I think Bill would probably compliment you as well to say that you just wrapped your arms around this thing until you got it. And so thank you for leading us into the future.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
hope you'll be chosen to do it again.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I think, Cliff, you did a great job. I know we have a new administration coming in, a new chairperson. I wish her all the best, and I hope that she gets the counsel and advice and wisdom to continue you as chair of this committee. You've done an exceptional job, and we're all very happy to have you running it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. It would be my thoughts and hopes that the inroads of respect and professionalism that we've brought into some topics that I think, may have been politically charged in the past. I think we've broke all that down. I think we've built that trust, across all 24 commissioners and said, there's no hidden agenda. We're trying to do what's best by our staff, albeit very different than it was. This is what we think it can look like. And just, thank you to everybody for the input and it's so appreciated. So.
It's a technique that Mark Armstrong uses all the time. You blind us with science.
Mark Armstrong's a smart man, don't. Anyhow, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Leonard moves.
I'll second.
Deb second. All in favor?
Sure.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful Friday and a great Thanksgiving holiday.